guys, thanks for joining me today. So what we have here is my SIG P226, and this is actually a pretty cool setup that we have here because this is a 22 conversion for the centerfire handgun. So I have my 9mm slide over here, and I have the 22 slide actually on the gun right now. And it's super simple to swap it over, and I really like this setup because it lets you have your centerfire handgun for carry or for home defense, and then it lets you go out and practice with a much more affordable round, the 22 long rifle. So this is a really nice setup, and I just want to tell you a little bit more about it. So I have been shooting and using this 22 long rifle conversion for a good solid 3 years now, so I have lots of experience with it, thousands of rounds through it, and I feel like I should be able to give you a pretty good data point. And just as we go through this review, I will be just following those talking points you see on there on the side, just to help us stay a little bit more organized. And you know, if the video ends up being a little bit long, you can skip through and just see the parts that you want to. So let's just jump right into this. As far as uses, it's obviously, I think first and foremost, at least for me, is a really nice practice and training setup. So I can just go out and put lots of rounds through the gun, get really familiar with it, familiar with all the controls, with the feel, sight alignment, trigger press, all that stuff, and just keep your skills up. Shooting a handgun is not easy, and it's one of those things that you really have to go out and practice and keep your skills up with it. So having a 22 conversion is really useful. Now you can also accomplish a lot of that with a more dedicated 22, like a Ruger 2245 or a Buckmark or something like that. But this is just even better. Just gives you practice with the exact platform that you would be using. It could also just be a great plinking rifle, or not rifle, plinking handgun. It's just a lot of fun to go out and shoot, and just shoot targets, steal, whatever you want, and just have fun with it. It could also be somewhat of a target pistol. I did shoot bullseye with this for about a year, and while I didn't win anything, it definitely held its own, against lots of other target handguns. So I wouldn't buy it as a target handgun, but if you want to kind of bend it into that role, it can go there. It's a very accurate handgun, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. Also, another thing to mention is that if you are trying to train a newer shooter on this on the SIG 226, it's really nice to be able to start them off on a 22. It's less recoil, it's again cheaper, and it's just a really nice tool to have. So as far as dimensions, it's the exact same dimensions essentially as the full size, same barrel length, same everything like that. It is just a little bit lighter. I'm not going to give you exact weights on here. You can look that up on SIG's website. You can find that with a Google search. I don't need to tell you that. But it is just a little bit lighter. So it's not going to be quite the full-size weight of your centerfire, but it's pretty close. It's not a big enough difference that I worry about it too much. Alright guys, so as far as capacity goes on here, you're looking at a 10-round magazine, and they're just these, kind of all polymer magazines. It's not steel feed lips or anything. And one of the things you'll notice that I have in each one of these magazines is this is actually a concrete anchor. And the reason that I have this in there, and I'm not sure the exact size of that, just go to the home improvement store and look for the concrete anchors that are about the size of a 22. But the reason that I have that in there is that there's actually no last shot hold open for the 22. And that's a little bit of an issue because you're not supposed to dry fire 22s. You'll end up making a little bit of a burr on the side of the barrel, and then you'll start having reliability issues. So I would recommend that you do something like this. So what that'll do is you just load that in first, and then you load 9 rounds on top of that, and then your last round will go click, and you'll be able to see that concrete washer in there. So that'll keep you from dry firing the gun. You could also just try using like spent casings and stuff in there. I've done that before. It works alright, although I think it might cause a little bit of reliability issues sometimes. Just having a spent casing in there first sometimes makes the rounds in there kind of want to not exactly sit level. So I would just recommend this. This is the best fix that I found so far. So essentially 9 rounds once you have that in there. And so that does create just a little bit of a training issue in the sense that your slide's not actually locking back when you're empty. But just treat it like a malfunction and and you'll kind of get used to it, and it's not that big of a deal. But I do wish that they had had a last shot holdup in there. It's just kind of one of those things that when you're converting, a gun that was designed for 9mm, sometimes you just end up a little bit of corks, and that's really the biggest cork that you have on this, is just that you're lacking that. Now, as far as ergonomics go on here, it's essentially the same ergonomics as the full size, 9mm, 40, 357 SIG, whatever centerfire you're running. So your entire lower assembly, your grips, your controls, your trigger, all that stays exactly the same, which is really nice. If you had gotten a trigger job done on here, or if you bought nice aftermarket grips like these are the Hogue Extreme aluminum grips. If you'd made any enhancements to the gun, you'll still be able to train with those enhancements. So that is a nice feature. Now your sights on here are adjustable for both elevation and windage, so that's really nice. They're both dovetailed in there, and so you theoretically could probably swap them out. Although I'm not sure that they'll actually accept standard SIG sights. If you notice, that back rear notch on there is actually bigger, so you're not going to be able to put standard 226 sights in there, although I do know there are some companies out there making aftermarket sights for this 22 conversion. I believe there are some fiber optic options out there, so keep that in mind. So you can swap out your sights, although I didn't really see any. Now they come 3-dot sights, standard out of the box. I actually blacked out the rear 2 sights. I just preferred that sight picture right there. And so I really like it. It's very ergonomic. It feels really good in the hand, and that little bit lighter spring in there, because it's a 22, makes it very easy to rack, very easy to run the slide, and I really like it. Alright guys, so moving on to accuracy, I mentioned I did shoot this in bullseye some, and so I didn't bring any of those targets today. I did show some of those in my review of the centerfire version. It's a fairly accurate handgun. I just went and shot these groups this morning, and so, not anything special. I just went out and popped a few rounds, and this is what I ended up with. So 10 yards, I shot 4 different groups. This one at the bottom, it's probably 3-inch group. That was pretty good. I just got a flyer. Up here, I shot at that shoulder. That's the group I got, probably 2 inches. Another 2-inch group. Up here at the headshot, that turned out pretty good. That's probably 1.25 inches. So 10 yards, that's pretty good for a handgun. And a lot of that was probably just me, the shooter. That was just standing 10 yards, hand holding it. If you're a really, really good shooter and you really take your time, you could easily beat this. So the point is, it's a very accurate gun, and SIGs are known for accuracy. They're a very accurate platform, and if you do your part, it will too. And so just moving on to reliability, it's a fairly reliable gun, I would say. I have had issues with it in the past. Now, part of that is just because it's a 22. When you're feeding, just crappy bulk ammo through it, it'll hiccup every once in a while, and that's just kind of the deal when it comes to 22s. Not a big deal. You just get a little more practice with your malfunction drills, and it's not too big of a deal. Now, one thing I have noticed, it is a little bit picky when it comes to ammunition. It's not a huge fan of hollow points. Some of them will work. It's not really picky, but every once in a while you'll find an ammo that it just doesn't like. One that I found that it really does like is this. This is Federal Target Grade Performance. This is 325 rounds. They go for around 15 bucks. So it's not like a really good target grade ammo, but it is a little bit of a step up from just standard crappy bulk ammo. And you'll notice it is a solid bullet. It's not a hollow point or anything. These feed really well, and it really likes this ammo. So overall, it's pretty easy to find ammo that it likes. Now the other issue that I've had with it is that, like I mentioned, it doesn't have last shot hold open. So before I was using this little concrete washer trick, I was basically dry firing it at the end of every magazine. And so after about, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500 rounds of doing that, it started a burr on the barrel. So I was getting lots of failure to feeds, lots of failures to go into battery, and so I was really having issues with it. I was kind of discouraged. So I contacted SIG. They sent it back. I sent it back to them. They actually sent out a shipping label, and so it didn't cost me anything to send it to them. I sent it to them. They looked at the barrel, gave me a brand new one, sent it back to me free of charge. So they really stand behind their product. They have a really good warranty. If you ever have an issue with a SIG product, you're going to be taken care of. And that's partly why I have no issues whatsoever recommending SIG to you guys, because I know that they're going to take care of you. They're just really top-notch customer service. So not too much of an issue there. If you do have an issue, just send it back to them. As far as maintenance goes on here, I recommend you clean it probably, I don't know, every 300 to 500 rounds. I mean, depending on how dirty the ammo is and everything. You know, just once you start having consistent issues, clean it. And that's probably going to be 400 rounds-ish, in that range. And I'm not talking like a really detailed cleaning. I'm just saying just wipe it out a little bit, lube it up, and it does like to run wet. It likes lubricant. That's just how it is. And so just lube it up, and it should be good to go. So not too hard to maintain. You know, I mean, you just clean it like any standard, you know, handgun. It's easy to take down, and just pull your spring and your barrel and everything out and clean it. So not a big deal. Now, if you're not aware, to convert this over to 9mm, it's really just that simple. You just take your slide off, throw the 9mm slide on there. Throw the 9mm slide on there, and now you're a 9mm. So it's really simple to convert back and forth. It's something you can do very quickly at the range, you know, just sitting there at the bench and say, I feel like shooting 22 now, and just swap it over, and it takes like 30 seconds, and it's no big deal. So really easy. Alright guys, so as far as accessories go for the 22, it's pretty much the exact same as your centerfire gun. You know, all the same holsters and everything is going to fit this. There's not really any big difference there. Now, as far as getting extra magazines, these magazines are pretty ridiculously priced, I think. I mean, it's just a little molded polymer magazine. I mean, it's very durable. It's going to last a long time, don't get me wrong. It's just, I think these things go around 40 bucks, which is kind of crazy, I think. If these things were like 15 or 20 bucks, I would be really excited about it. But around 40 bucks, I mean, if you need extra mags, you need them, so, you know, pay it. But that seems a little high to me, but it is what it is. It's kind of what you get with SIG. Sometimes they're just expensive. But really good quality. So moving on to price, as I mentioned, you know, mags are kind of expensive. There's really two ways to end up with this setup, you know, with this 22 and the 9mm. You can go out and buy your 9mm handgun and then go buy the 22 conversion. So the 9mm handgun will run you maybe 800 bucks, and then the 22 conversion will be maybe another 300. So you're at like 1100 bucks. And that's pretty pricey. Now the other way to go is what I did. You go out and buy the 22 version of the gun. So these go for around 550 bucks. So go buy the 22 conversion. Then you can go buy the 9mm caliber exchange kit for this. These go around $300 to $350. So total there you're looking at maybe 900 bucks. So you definitely save a good amount of money when you buy the 22 first and then convert it over to a 9mm or 40 or 327 SIG or whatever you prefer later on. So that's what I recommend you go do. Just buy the 22, then buy this. Another cool thing is if you have a kid and you want to get them into shooting handguns, you could just go buy them the 22 version, you know, have them shoot this for a few years, and you know, just shoot the 22 a lot. Then when they're big enough and you feel that they should have a centerfire handgun, go buy them this. And so that's a nice way to set somebody up with a handgun. Now, as far as competitive options go on here, other, you know, good proven, combat proven handguns that have 22 conversions available are kind of rare. Now there's the Glock. You know, there are some 22 conversions out there for the Glock, so that's a good option. I recommend you check that out. It's definitely lighter weight. You know, these are still kind of the little bit older generation, you know, aluminum and steel, you know, handguns. The Glock is steel, obviously, I know, but, you know, aluminum, heavier weight handguns. The CZs, the CZ75s, those do have conversions. 1911s, I know there are some conversions out there. And the Smith & Wesson M&P, there's not a conversion for it, but there is a 22 version. So if you went and bought the 22 version of the M&P and then the full size, you'd have a similar setup as this. So there are some other options out there, but I've been very happy with this. So if you guys have any questions at all about this this 22 conversion for the 226, feel free to leave that in the comments. I'd be happy to help you guys out. If you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe. I'd appreciate that. Everyone have a nice day, and thanks for watching.